If you could live in any movie universe, what would it be?
Tron.
Tron.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that?
Have you seen Tron?
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
It's great.
Not the 80s Tron where where it looks awful. The new Tron, I would like to be a user if possible. I don't want to be a program. But basically, you're god of a construct, right?
Right.
You show up, you write the code, you can make it anything you want it to be. You can do anything you want, but there's also an aspect of it where the programs and the world has a mind of its own, so it's not just yours. It starts branching off and do its own thing.
Yeah, you get to like
Really interesting.
create your own reality around you.
How about
Super
you?
cool. Wow, that sounds pretty great to me too. To have like everything you want, get to do anything you want. I honestly think that like Page Master would be I related to the reality version when I was a kid, but then you like in the cartoon world, like there's so many different like worlds that he visits. There's fantasy. You can be a pirate. There's horror.
Different world every night. Every time you open a book. Now, is it like uncontrollable like it is in the movie, or is it every time you open a book you go into that world?
Well, it's the story, it's the arc, it's the journey of the hero. And maybe if I'm not the main protagonist, I can hang out in a cool world for a while, have a nice island vacation, then go ride a dragon.
Dude, how sweet would that be?
That'd be pretty sweet. Man, I wish dragons were real. I love lizards. And them like giant ones with wings. Holy shit.
Have you heard the theory that they might have been real dragons?
Yeah, I mean they were probably just dinosaurs, right?
Well, they thought they were like birds. Like in order to fly, they have to have like hollow bones, right? They have to be really light, which decays a lot faster, which is why they don't find fossils of dragons. And so that's like the theory of why they could have been like dinosaurs, but they just didn't fossilize. So
whoa.
So that could be very real.
Dragons were totally real.
Could have been.
100% confirmed here. Dragons were real. And now they're chickens.
Yes. Delicious chickens. All right. So should we get into today's topic?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So
what are we talking about, Joshy? What are we talking about?
So we're talking about movies here, and I'm thinking about style over substance. So like movies that are like very visually striking or have like a very intense tone, but the story isn't like super complex. Like you can wrap your head around the story, but the thing that makes it unique is the style and like the universe that the filmmakers have created.
Yeah, one movie I just saw recently was Drive.
Drive?
Yeah.
That's a great one.
Yeah. I know you love his character of the strong silent type. Like he says 10 words in the whole movie?
Yep.
Oh man. I want to start at the beginning, but I just need the elevator scene where he goes from passionately kissing her to stomping in a guy's face.
Did you see that coming, or was
no,
that
I did not.
out of the blue?
No, I did not. Did not see that.
That's quite intense, that scene.
Dude, that movie did such a good job with the pacing and like the character development through the visual storytelling. Later in the movie, there is more dialogue as more characters get involved, but the main focus is really on the driver, who doesn't even have a name.
Yeah.
And kind of just like gleaming what you can from his facial expressions and the lady's facial expressions as well. Just like seeing how they look at each other, seeing how they react to the situation.
So I wrote down a few notes about a few movies, and Drive was one of them. And one of the notes I put down, basically I broke my notes into like what's stylistic about it, what's the substance, and then something I didn't like. Not necessarily that it's bad, I just thought could have done without. So for Drive, the stylistic components, I really liked like the tone of the movie, how it was very serious, and it knew what movie it was. Like, it didn't throw in comedy where it didn't need to be. It was very action packed, but it was also slow paced, which is really, really hard to do in a movie, because if it's all action and then you go to a slow scene, it just feels like it's lagging. But this movie didn't have any of those problems. It balanced the fighting, the car driving, with those soft moments where he's talking to this girl and hanging out with her son, right? I think it balanced it really well. I also really liked the music choices for it.
I thought it was fantastic.
It was like really like dreamy and 80s.
Synthwavy. Yeah, fantastic.
Also the wardrobe. Like it took everything of my being to not buy that that scorpion bomber jacket, like, and like the driving gloves. Like, he just looks so cool.
I know, I want driving gloves after watching this.
And so for the substance, I wrote down the character Driver. Like you said, like, he is so mysterious. He was so nice to the girl, but he had like this violent past, and like he could balance those characters in a believable way, Ryan Gosling, and that's got to be really hard to be like nice and gentle and then like violent without like seeming like you're overacting. And I thought the character and the acting was really good in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, back to when I was talking about how he stomped the guy's face in, he seconds before had told her he would do anything to keep her safe. And I think they do a close-up on his face while he's doing it beyond what's necessary. And you can tell by the look in his face, like, he knows that nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, he knows it's over after this.
It's over, yeah. But
he still puts her first in protecting her.
Yeah, he feels like he had to do that to protect her. Now, did he really have to cave his face in?
Yes.
Okay.
Is sending a message.
Yeah. Let's talk about blood machines next.
Okay. Blood machines.
Do you want to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
All right, so blood machines. This one's not very common, so if you haven't seen this one, we'll give a little synopsis of it. An artificial intelligence escapes her spaceship to turn into a female ghost and challenges two Blade Runners to a galactic chase. So, this movie was very highly anticipated for me. It comes from the director team Seth Ickerman, which is really weird because it's two dudes who go by the name Seth Ickerman. Like, it's not one person. It's two dudes under an acronym, which is super weird.
I didn't know that.
I think the reason they did that is because they're French and their names are a little hard to pronounce, and I'm wondering if that's why they want like more recognition and not like these two guys who people can't say their name. Anyways, moving on. So they did this music video with a guy from his band Carpenter Brute. I think it's just one guy, but he does like synthwave techno music, and it's like really intense and like cinematic, and it really lended itself to a dramatic music video. So that's how these guys get together, and they did Turbo Killer. It's a music video. It's on YouTube. It's really good. You should watch it. And they created this universe, and it was so like loved that they felt they needed to expand this universe, and it was so unique in its visual style, like nothing else had been made like about that universe. And so they did a Kickstarter campaign to make this movie that would turn into Blood Machines, and it did really well, and like they got it funded, and then they got even more money, I think, from another production company, and they made Blood Machines. And this movie, it's intense. It's, how do you describe it? It's like,
Well, I enjoyed, as you call it, the movie. They broke it up into what, 3 or 4 different.
I think it was originally meant to be
episodes?
a movie, and then they broke it up into episodes in case they wanted to continue the story. Is kind of how I thought.
I think
the reason that
I
they
think
did
that
that?
was a mistake.
Yeah,
I
I agree.
I think it totally just brings it to a halt.
Yeah, it's a movie. Like
right.
it wasn't meant to be
it's
broken
feature
up.
length.
It felt like they did that after the fact.
Correct. Yeah, and like you can have the different chapters, like I think they intended, but you don't have to physically break it up and have a whole 2-minute credits and intros scene every single time. So I think that was a little bit too bad. But while I liked the world and the concept was fascinating and it was visually stunning, and like the size of the crew that worked on it is really, really impressive, I thought that it was kind of just like a music video that they stretched out and added some dialogue in between to make it like a full movie. I didn't think it was that strong of a film. I thought it had a lot of really good starts to ideas, and I think that it just like could have gone a little bit further in explaining it, and the dialogue I think fell a little bit short.
Sure.
But like I said, visually it was stunning.
Of our list, I would put this one the most style over substance.
Yep.
On this list. I agree with pretty much everything you're saying. They definitely have a visual, like a really, really unique visual style, and they're really proficient with visual effects. And I think they really shine in those aspects of the film. But I think you're right. I think the dialogue is very one-dimensional. And the actors are not American, but their audience is American. And I think there's a lot of disconnect in the speaking, the dialect, and just the acting with other people that's lost on this film.
Yeah.
But it was a very small budget, and they are 2 French dudes, and they didn't shoot it in America, so it makes sense. I think if they like got a chance to do this again with like a feature length like sequel or something, and they got like some bigger stars, I think this would be a lot.
I'm sure they got some good money from Shudder. I think it did really well on there.
Yeah.
And like Shudder bought it, so I'm sure they'd probably pay for a sequel.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah. So I really I want to see more from it, because I love and hate the end. I think that it was like that. I wish we had gotten to that part maybe sooner. What I have for Blood Machines is that the narrative seems to be there to break up the music and the visuals. It doesn't give too much context. And then the character development, I feel like they kind of made like a lot of stereotypes or like archetypes.
There isn't much character development.
Exactly.
It's like, this guy's a jerk.
Yeah,
I guess he's dead.
I
he
thought the
learned
jerk
nothing.
captain character, he was one of the main characters. I thought, man, like I know you're supposed to hate him, but I think I hated him for the wrong reasons.
Right.
And but I loved watching it because it looked great. And the music was good, especially if you're into that.
The music is, I would argue, is a character of the movie itself.
Yeah, I mean, like that's what birthed it, basically.
It's
right?
what birthed it. It's what pushes the film forward. Because like think of this movie without the music. There's very little dialogue, and then there's lots of shots of just this lady floating through space. Like if there was no music to propel it in such a like grand fashion, like it wouldn't go anywhere.
Yeah, you'd be like, all right, I've seen this shot now for 2 minutes.
or at least me. It held me. Like I was really engrossed by it.
Like I said, I think if it was all in one sitting, I think it would be easier to watch. Well, I know a lot of watching habits nowadays are short bites, and it's hard for anyone to finish anything over an hour. So I get it from that approach. I just don't know, especially with this fan base, how many are watching it in like bites. I don't want to keep ragging on it because of that.
You rag on it, and I'll praise it.
Yeah,
we'll find a good balance in there.
So style over substance. Definitely style.
Definitely style.
Definitely styled. You like Mandy, right?
Yes, I love Mandy.
What's it about? Tell me.
That's a great film. I guess in my notes, the synopsis of it is the enchanted lives of a couple in a secluded forest are brutally shattered by a nightmarish hippie cult and their demon biker henchmen, propelling a man into a spiraling, surreal rampage of violence.
I think spiraling is probably the best description for this movie. Especially towards the end, you really see him kind of start to lose his mind.
Yes. Played beautifully, by the way, by Nick Cage.
Yeah.
Like, what a great choice for this role.
I'm really glad that he's taken some different roles. I love National Treasure. I'm not afraid to admit that. I've seen Ghost Rider many times, but I enjoy these roles that he's taken. They're a little more introspective. And the reason that this movie was more style over substance is because a lot of that storytelling is done in the facial expressions and the character development and relationships between Mandy and Red is the main character, Nicolas Cage's name. Within like the first 5-10 minutes, there's a pillow talk scene that one of the quickest check marks you can give a movie is if the dialogue is believable and it keeps you engaged, even if there's not that much of it. So the fact that they had so little dialogue and that was one of the strongest parts of the movie, I think, was pretty impressive to me.
Yeah, but to counteract that, everything in this movie is very stylized.
Oh yeah.
When it comes to like the colors, the framing, the tone of this movie, it's all very thought out. Like, did you notice the madder he went, the more the colors became vibrant and reds and purples. I love that effect, especially at the very end of the movie.
Driving through the woods and there's like the trees are all red from yeah. I bet that would be real fun to shoot too.
Yes. I also really liked going back to like the style versus substance. It has a lot of style, but it also has a lot of substance. It's a good middle ground between these two movies we're talking about. One of the things that I really liked was the villain, the leader of
the Manson-esque character.
The leader of this hippie cult. He was very egotistical, very what's the word where you can't take criticism?
Narcissistic, but
very narcissistic, yes.
And just like the mind games he played on his disciples, I guess you'd call him. Brother, the man, I don't remember the other, like his male disciple, like guy. I don't remember his name. The older guy, not the two young dumb ones.
Yeah, I can't think of his name right now.
So you can kind of tell like the love that guy has for him. Like it's almost sexual. It might be. One of the things that he said that kind of stuck out to me was the cleansing powers of fire. Because like fire's forever. Like you can bury a body and like it's there, it's in the ground, but if you burn it, it's gone forever. And that's kind of what they did. And I can kind of see that in a way as like a representation of like hell of sorts, like eternally burning. That's the rest of your eternity. You're burned. And so like heaven is being remembered and hell is being forgotten. And they basically sent his wife to hell in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think she's an alien? What is a starling?
It's a bird.
It is a bird.
Yeah.
Okay.
They did use a lot of interesting visuals with just her.
Lady coming out of the water.
The water, and then when she's sitting through the fire, she looks very otherworldly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
And they pan up to the sky, you see this nebula of
Right.
sorts. And
I don't know if that's what they were going for, is that
Mhm.
she's an alien. I think they were trying to show that she's an attractive character, and not in the sense of like beauty, but in the sense of like you look at her and you see a story and you want to know what that story's about, like her scars on her eyes,
mhm.
and like when she brings up her past and talks about killing the starlings, like she's lived a life and you can see it on her face. And I think that's what is his name, Linus, Jeremiah Sand, the hippie cult leader. I think that's why when he sees her, he's so attracted to her. He wants to know her and he wants to be worshipped by her.
Mm-hmm.
But she's been through some shit, right? And she knows who he is, and she wants no part of him and his cult. And that's why it's so funny when she like laughs at him,
Yeah.
and he gets
Yeah.
like so embarrassed and angry.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just taking all the power away from him.
Mm-hmm. So this movie is not a straightforward movie. There's some things that they do to the tone of this movie where they set up the rules of this movie and then they break it. For example, they show these characters. They're very human. They're very like relatable. And then they show these like hippie cult leaders, right? And they're
Mhm.
very eccentric and they're very like villainous. But then there's also these like demons in this movie.
Yeah.
The motorcycle demons. And you're trying to think like, is this really happening? Are these people dressed up or are these demons? And that's where I really like this movie, is that you think you know the answers and then they just make it crazy.
Mm-hmm.
which is amazing. Like the whole scene where he goes hunting and he makes the axe, like it's so badass.
It really is.
And then he kills all these demons and he hunts them down and he kills them in this gory way. And it's like the whole movie is a slow burn until the end. And that's why I explained this movie to you. Like, it's a slow burn, but it's worth it in the end. Because I think my favorite part of the movie is him going hunting with the axe and the huge chainsaw. And
It was ridiculous.
And I just love a good like revenge, when someone can get revenge on a person. And then in the end he loses his mind.
Yes, I the ending was good. I enjoyed it. I felt like that there was something missing though. I feel like I don't know what they could have added to make me happier, but it felt a little empty toward the end, where like the rest of the movie felt like full.
Interesting.
And maybe it's just because like he kind of just resolves it by killing everybody, and then what?
See, that's how you see it, but I see it as something was taken from him and he can never get it back.
Yeah.
He can hurt everyone who did the bad thing, and he eventually does. But in the end, he loses his mind because he knows he can never get it back. He'll never be the same. And he embraces it, and I think he embraces his insanity in the end. That's kind of how I see it. So I think it's a really good rounded ending, but I can see where someone would be like, okay, now what?
Yeah, maybe I just missed that final bit of the character development there. I'm glad that she didn't like come back or anything, or I they didn't pull any like weird stunts like that. So or like did something to make it a happy ending besides what it already was. So I'm glad they didn't do anything like that, because I think I'd be more disappointed with that.
Yeah. Can we talk about the bathroom drinking scene?
Yeah, dude. Oh man, when he starts screaming, Nicolas Cage really went all out for that part. That scene. He poured it out. Yeah, when he pours it on his hands. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel after eating at Chili's. All right, well, that about wraps up the topic, style over substance. I guess tune in for the next episode where we talk about indie films you haven't heard of. No?
I thought you said any films you haven't heard of.
Indie.
Yeah.
Indie.
We're going to talk about every movie you've never heard of. It's a long one, so buckle up. All right. That's good, right?
I don't know. You were laughing the whole time. People are going to not know what's happening.
Next one we're going to be talking about is underrated indie movies. I think that'll be pretty good. Pretty fun topic. See ya. Hey, all you cool cats and kittens out there.